For decades, business intelligence has pretty much been about one thing, looking in the rearview mirror, right? We've built these incredible tools to tell us what happened yesterday or last week or last quarter. But what if your business could react to what's happening right now? Okay, so let's dive into this huge shift, this move from just reporting on the past to actually building a business that can act in the present.
This visual just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the classic reporter, the person who's a master storyteller of past data. But on the right, you have the operations architect. This person doesn't just present insights, they build the automated systems that act on them. It's a massive change from passive analysis to active, even autonomous response.
All right, so to really appreciate just how big a deal this shift is, we need to first take a quick look back at where we've all been. Let's start with what we're calling the age of static reports and unpack why simply looking at the past just doesn't cut it anymore. And you know what? They were beautiful, weren't they? These really intricate, detailed dashboards that could tell you everything about last quarter's sales or website traffic from last week. For a long time, they were the absolute peak of business intelligence. But that key phrase here is of the past. In a world that operates in milliseconds, a story about last week might as well be ancient history.
And this right here, this identifies the core bottleneck perfectly. The human in the loop. It's that critical delay, you know? The time it takes for a person to open the report, figure out what the data is saying, and then decide what to do about it. That gap, that latency, can be absolutely fatal when your competitor's system is acting automatically.
And that fatal latency is exactly what brings us to the solution. This is where we see the rise of the architect, a totally new kind of role that's focused on building a business that can react in real time without having to wait for a human to step in.
And I love this concept they've laid out here, a digital nervous system. Think about it. Your body doesn't need you to consciously think, hey, that stove is hot, I should probably pull my hand away. It just reacts instantly. Well, that's what we're talking about building for businesses, a system that can sense a change in its environment and trigger an immediate automatic response.
So this is the fundamental shift in thinking. We're flipping the whole model from insight first to action first. It's no longer about digging around to find an insight and then deciding what to do. Nope. It's about defining the action you want to happen up front and then building an automated system that triggers it when the right data signal comes along.
Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but how does this actually work in the real world? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of activating data with a technology that's specifically designed to create these business reflexes.
So the core idea is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You have a tool, like Microsoft's Data Activator, and it's just constantly watching these streams of live data. Think of it like a river of information that's always flowing from your factory floor, your sales system, your website, all of it. And it's just looking for one specific condition. When it sees it, bam, it triggers a reflex. And these reflexes basically come in two main flavors. The first one is pretty straightforward, a communication reflex. This is all about getting the right information to the right human fast, like automatically sending a message to a Teams channel with all the context they need to know what's up. But the second one, workflow reflexes, well, that's where the real magic happens. This is where the system itself takes action by kicking off a whole automated process. Let's make this super concrete with the example they've laid out. Imagine your warehouse inventory for a really important product drops below 10%. Instantly, Data Activator triggers a reflex. That reflex starts a Power Automate flow, which then generates and sends a new purchase order directly into your SAP system. And here's the kicker. No human even knew the stock was low until the problem was already being solved.
Okay, but just reacting to what's happening right now is only half the battle. The next frontier, and this is where it gets really exciting, is using AI to act on what's about to happen. We're talking about moving from a reactive model to a truly proactive one. And this comparison just shows you what a huge leap this is. A simple stateless rule is reactive, right? It only alerts you after your sales have already dropped below some fixed number. It's basically a dumb alarm. But a predictive reflex? That's intelligent. It analyzes the current trajectory and warns you that, hey, based on all the trends, you are going to miss your target, which gives you precious time to actually correct course.
And it gets even more sophisticated with something called anomaly detection. You've got AI that can monitor thousands of data streams at once and spot these tiny, subtle changes that a human would never, ever notice. Think about a machine on a factory floor. Its vibration pattern might change ever so slightly, days before a catastrophic failure. The AI catches that little anomaly and triggers a maintenance reflex, preventing the failure before it ever happens.
So what's the bottom line? What does all of this add up to? Let's talk about the real measurable impact a business can see when it builds its own digital nervous system.
I mean, look at this. This is the whole game right here. The time it takes to get from an event happening to taking action, what used to take hours or maybe even days of human analysis and decision-making is now compressed into seconds. The value of that kind of speed is just almost impossible to overstate.
And we can see that value in hard numbers. This isn't just a theory. In manufacturing, for example, putting these predictive reflexes in place, catching those subtle anomalies we talked about, has been shown to reduce costly equipment downtime by a staggering 30 to 40%. That is a massive impact on the bottom line.
And this isn't just for one industry. Not at all. In retail, it means shelves are never empty because reordering is automated based on real-time sales. In finance, it means a stolen credit card is frozen the instant a fraudulent pattern is detected, not hours later when the damage is done. The applications are literally everywhere.
So we'll end with this question, and it's a big one. The ability to just visualize data, to tell a pretty story about the past, is no longer enough. The most resilient, the most competitive, and the most successful organizations of the very near future will be the ones that build a true digital nervous system, the ones that don't just see the world, but can actually respond to it in real time.